Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So it's been a while since I posted on this channel, and I thought we'd come back by doing something a little bit more fun and lighthearted. And recently I found myself on the evangelical, conservative, Christian side of Instagram, and it's been blowing my mind. So I thought we could react to a few reels here. I have a couple to show Drew, and then Drew has some to show me.
Yeah, she sends me these every once in a while, but I don't think I've seen any of the ones that you're going to show me today.
No.
And yeah, I'm going to show you some that I don't think you've seen.
I might have, but we'll see.
Yeah.
As a disclaimer, there is some music on a couple of these reels. We're just going to make it completely silent or add some of our own music in there, but we can't include the music because of copyright. So
yeah.
Also, as another disclaimer, some of the reels that I'm going to show are from an account called Christian Nightmares, and I'm going to link them down in the description and you guys can follow them, but I just wanted to make that clear that I got some of those from that account. You ready to get started on this?
Yeah, as I'll ever be, I guess. So, hanging out by yourself, but making it a big deal? I mean, that's okay with me, you know. Take care of yourself, but...
I mean, if she wants to go on a date with God, that's fine, but I'm confused as to why she felt like she needed to dress up for a job interview.
Yeah. And I mean, also, like, film it.
Yeah.
You know, like you're going and you're spending time with your creator, but really you are acting as a social media content creator,
Right,
more
yeah.
so than, I mean, we make social media stuff. We know that all the things that she did in this would have had to go on for basically so long that a lot of that food would be cold.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't really be in the moment. So, I mean, yeah, you're going on a date with God, but really what you're doing is like showing everyone that you went on a date with God.
Yeah. I mean, all of it is really just about the aesthetic more than anything. I mean,
Yeah.
she's from her clothes to her nails to like how her food is positioned, the lighting. I'm sure she picked a spot in that restaurant that had really good lighting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about the aesthetic and the vibe, and it's less about the Christian part, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
I wrote some notes down about this person because she's actually an influencer. So I'll just read a little bit. This is Emmy Mori. She's a Christian influencer and host of a podcast called Saved Not Soft. She's similar to Ashley Hetherington, in my opinion. She's basically selling Christianity as an aesthetic. But she has more of like a mature look because I feel like Ashley Hetherington's a little bit
It's kind of for teenage girls.
PG.
Yeah.
She kind of has more, like this girl has more of a cool girl kind of look. It's supposed to be about Christian faith, but just like Ashley's YouTube channel, it's extremely surface level, and I find it's more motivational in nature. I find these types of Christian influencers very problematic because they claim they're about spreading the Christian message, but their content is almost entirely focused on themselves, their aesthetic and style, and they almost always are selling products to their followers. And I actually have another reel of hers that kind of exemplifies this.
Think I'm quite a mess now, wasting all my time on you, killing all my hopes for you, boy, why you playing? 7 months have passed by, used to see me on the low. Why don't you just let them know things we share that begs to show? Oh, let me remind you, oh boy, let me.
Okay, so first of all, I don't know, the like characters and like making it like a fashion trend is weird to me. Like the Mary thing, I mean, wasn't this like a nobody peasant girl? Why are you wearing like $1,000 outfits to be the nobody peasant girl who humbled herself?
Well, I don't know if these are necessarily, we don't know that these are $1,000 outfits.
Yeah, but snazzy outfits.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
That seems strange. The Eve thing, you can literally see cleavage, which Eve was naked, sure, but I feel like isn't that bad? if you're a Christian?
So I've really noticed with a lot of Christians like this, kind of like social media influencer Christians, there is this trend of them wearing things that, like back in my day in evangelicalism, would not be considered modest at all.
Which was like 10 years ago.
Not even. Like, I think even 5 years ago, some of this stuff is like, no, you're incredibly immodest and not glorifying God by wearing that.
Yeah.
But now, like, it's totally okay. And, like, that's not to say that they're doing anything wrong, because I don't think that they are. They should be able to wear whatever they want. I just think it's interesting that, like, what's considered modest and like glorifying to God and one of the principles of Christianity is obviously very subjective and changes with the time.
Yeah. I also find it interesting that the calling all disciples thing is this kind of new trend of like homeless chic, which is like rich people fetishizing poor people clothes. Mm-hmm. And then like you're using this trend of rich people fetishizing poor people clothes and selling very expensive items of clothing in order to look poor. And then the message he's trying to get across is this is what like Jesus looked like, this poor like beggar basically who was preaching a great message. This is what he looked like. When really it's like, this is all about commercialism and consumerism.
Yeah, it's commercialism and it's about the aesthetic and As
people who actually do really care a lot about the story of Jesus, and like we still do take a lot from that, like that, it honestly kind of grosses me out. Like you could not possibly use the Lord's name in vain in any more overt way than dressing up as a poor person with expensive clothes and then calling it the calling all disciples look, right?
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I think that we can see that she's just doing the normal social media influencer thing and then just kind of like tacking on the Christian part to it, similar to Ashley Hetherington, to kind of make it seem a little bit more respectable what she's doing and kind of frame it as a mission, when it's like, okay, the mission part is kind of an afterthought.
Yeah.
Like it's about selling things at the end of the day.
And then when that is kind of your mission at the end of the day, you're basically using the whole idea that this is something more than just social media in order to sell things on social media.
And I feel like that's worse. Like just be an influencer.
Right.
But I think that because there's so many people that want to be influencers, I think kind of taking the like Christian niche gives them a little bit of a leg up and an ability to build up more of a following based on that.
Yeah, an appeal to, oh, this is something greater, which some people will fall for.
Yeah. I wrote something that I want to read here. I said, I don't have any problem with people going on dates with God, praying in public, even in this like kind of overt way that she does. The problem I have is that this reel isn't actually about those things. It's about the aesthetic. It's about her clothes. It's about her nails. It's about the carefully chosen and placed food she's eating. Influencers like this make faith seem inaccessible to the average person because not everyone can afford to dress the way they do or go out to these like fancy restaurants.
Yeah.
They can make people feel like they're failing as Christians because their life doesn't look like these influencers. A lot of these influencers also claim that their success in life is tied to their trust in God, when it's very obvious that they come from a place of wealth and privilege.
Absolutely.
Before we continue, let me take a brief moment to talk about the sponsor of today's video, AdamandEve.com. On my channel, Drew and I have discussed the importance of sexual wellness, and that's why I've partnered with them for today's video. Adam and Eve have been in business for over 50 years and are some of the leaders of the sexual wellness industry. They also offer 24/7 customer service, 90-day no-hassle returns, and discreet shipping, so you can rest assured that your privacy will be protected. If you're interested in checking them out, and I highly suggest you do, you can use my code ANTIBOT to not only get 50% off 2 items, but also get free shipping in the US and Canada. Thank you, Adam and Eve. Now back to the video. Sitting here waiting on my car while I choose which oil to anoint with before heading into a spiritual battle with a Jezebel spirit in ministry today, and thinking about how no matter how dark the world gets, Jesus shows up bigger. I think like the level of delusion to think that literal demons are attacking you is one thing, but then to think that you're going to protect yourself with essential oils is a whole other level.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so this Jezebel spirit thing, obviously I know who Jezebel is. I get the whole, dark spirit fighting nonsense. But Jezebel spirit is a phrase that I've heard from specifically Mark Driscoll.
Yeah, he uses that a lot.
But he uses that to be like, Hillary Clinton or AOC or, you know, Ilhan Omar or like anyone that's a woman in power is a Jezebel spirit. So it's interesting to see clearly a woman influencer using this term that I always thought was associated purely with misogyny.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going on in this situation. I don't know if has some sort of beef with somebody that she's in ministry with, or she's trying to minister to somebody that she thinks has a Jezebel spirit. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like the Jezebel spirit is in the church and she's about to ward that person off. Who knows? Maybe the Jezebel spirit is somebody who is glorifying wealth and pretending to be Christian or using Christianity to prop up their social media. I mean, this one isn't as big as the other one that we looked at, so maybe she's going to war with the last influencer we looked at. Who knows?
Who knows? I think it would be funny to, like, recreate a movie like The Nun, but instead of, like, casting out the demon with Jesus's blood, I think we should just get a bunch of middle-aged white women and have them cast it out with Young Living essential oils or something.
That is the fantasy that they have, I think.
Yeah. I'm not going to mention the name of this woman because she has a small Instagram. I don't think that she's trying to be like an influencer or anything, but she actually owns an MLM company called Emerald Glory Wellness.
Oh my God.
And I just want to read a little bit to you about her and her business. So the lady that owns this MLM describes herself on her website as a certified herbalist, Bible teacher, and end times enthusiast.
That escalated a little bit too quick for me.
I'm like, I don't really know what an end times enthusiast is. I don't know if that's just like calling yourself. Is that the same thing as a prepper, or
do you want it to happen, or are you just really interested in different ideas of what happens, right?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
God, that's not something I'm very enthusiastic about myself. So,
she also says on her website that one of the reasons that she decided to start her own company is that the occult has infiltrated almost every oil company in existence.
I mean, we have covered the occult apparently infiltrating the biggest Christian MLM in the world, Young Living Essential Oils, and they've been losing money ever since the occult.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I'm not sure if that's what she's referring to because I don't know if she was previously a member of Young Living, but I don't know.
So this is literally a business that is using scripture in order to sell products.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any Christianity left that's not about money? I thought they were supposed to be enemies. That's what I was taught.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how they like reconcile that in their mind. I don't really get it.
Okay, you've shown me a few. Let me show you a couple of mine here.
Okay.
This one might be someone familiar.
It's Milena Ciciotti. What?
So
I feel like that's just so unhinged and like cringy.
You're familiar with the whole prayer closet thing. The thing that's interesting to me is just like, she's like, this is what the enemy sees. And I mean, I do think, you know, having a period of like quiet reflection or meditation or even prayer every day can be a very healthy thing, very healthy part of your routine. Having a space for that, you know, great. But when you're kind of fixated on like, I'm doing this because I really want to get at that invisible monster man out there. He's going to be really mad and he's going to think that I'm really badass if I do this. And you know what I mean? Like it's the cringe part of it is not doing the ritual. It's thinking that there's an invisible, supremely evil monster guy that's like, ooh, I'm really mad at you for doing this. What are you? Am I wrong?
Well, I feel like also it's like evangelicals are kind of obsessed with this idea that they're in a battle.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine spending so much of my life, like my time and my energy, into like envisioning myself battling literal demons. Like I can't, like I already have anxiety issues. I can't imagine the just like level of anxiety that you would experience every single day thinking that you're in a literal war.
Yeah. Well, I think that actually them doing this is a sign that they do not experience the same anxieties over social issues that other people do, other classes and other types of people do.
Yeah.
I mean, do you see, like, say, like, queer people of color? Do you see them being like, oh, there's this invisible monster that's, like, out to get me and I'm going to prepare myself? No, they're like, this person said this today, and this is an actual member of Congress who's passing a law in order to make my existence harder or my healthcare illegal. Like, they're dealing with actual real battles.
I mean, they have to deal with, like, trials and tribulations in reality.
Yeah.
In, like, the real world.
Whereas, like, what is it, Milena Ciciotti?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't presume to know exactly everything that's going on in her life. But when you are a straight white Christian woman who clearly, like, is financially well off enough, her channel does as well as mine does, and we do just fine. I don't really think that you have the same kind of trials and tribulations as other types of people. So you have to make them up because the Bible says you're going to be persecuted. So it must be an invisible monster man that's going to do it, right?
I mean, yeah, I think you make a good point because the Bible says that they're going to be persecuted. And so if they're not experiencing that directly in their own life, then they kind of have to, like, hallucinate that it's happening.
Yeah. All right. This one is probably the one that made me feel the worst when I came across it. Like, it really makes me sad, actually. We'll actually be able to play the sound on this one because there's no, like, music.
Okay.
All right, now watch this. It ramps up. This major earthquake shook Japan hours after this word. Yeah. Yeah. So this is like a 20-something-year-old guy. I looked at his other stuff on social media. I mean, it's always the, like, very, like, pretty young guy that's, like, gesturing wildly at the camera and, like, really charismatically saying stuff about the future. And apparently this is a real meeting that he had where he was, like, prophesying, and
then there happened to be a natural disaster that he connected to this.
Yeah. And he puts that on social media, and it does well.
It's like the people of Japan deserved that because they're, you know, not following God.
Something like that.
That's terrible. Yeah, I can understand why this was, you know, the hardest one for you to watch because this is just so fucked up.
The thing to me that also concerns me a lot is that, I mean, he's saying just very generic, like, King James Version Proverbs or like Lamentations speak. Like, he's speaking in a way that sounds like an old Bible verse that you heard when you were a kid. There's no substance, really. He's just saying, watch out, bad things are going to happen. Watch out, bad things are going to happen.
Yeah.
But he says it in this, like, poetic, ominous sounding way. And that is all that it takes to get people to believe that this person has a connection to God rather than is basically a social media grifter or is a very reality challenged young man who is lost.
Yeah. I think that if you look at, you know, faith healers or people like that, prophets, they talk in this very particular way, and that's not on accident.
Yeah.
It's to get people riled up, like these people are all crying and screaming. It's to get you to feel something emotionally.
Right. And that makes you susceptible to whatever message they are going to put out there.
Right.
And it used to be put money in the plate when it passes you, and now it's, comment and like this video, which is ultimately put
It's
something
about
in.
money, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I have the same one, actually.
Wait, you have the same one? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's check this out.
We should read it. So it says, my faith was stirred this week. I visited my friends in HB. I'm not sure where that is. We ordered fish tacos for dinner and realized that we were 11 tacos short. The girls wrapped all the tacos back up and prayed in faith and opened the foil to find 22 tacos. I've quite literally never seen a miracle like that before. I just love how, you know, God's just like, fuck all those children that are dying in Gaza.
Japan.
And yeah, like, I'm going to make sure these white girls have their fish tacos.
I mean, in their defense, there's precedent for God multiplying fishes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And tortillas are a type of loaf as well. Okay. So the fishes and the loaves being multiplied, that makes sense. But yeah, you do make a good point that, like, why does God care so much about this?
Yeah.
They're filming this in a nice house with, like, nice cabinets and stainless steel appliances. They clearly have $11 more for like 10 tacos.
Yeah. But it's also like, okay, so you filmed their reaction, like, kind of off to the side in this, you know, corner, but you apparently an actual miracle was, or you were they were trying to get a miracle to happen.
Yeah.
But like they didn't think to record it.
Yeah.
Like, why record the reaction but then not the actual thing happening? Maybe
people were asking that in the comments because she turned the comments off.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I also, when I came across this today, when Instagram's algorithm decided that I wanted to see stuff like this, and I just thought, like, oh, this has got to be a joke. Like, this isn't real. But it'd be really crazy if it was. So I checked on her just page, and it's very real. Like, she is so genuine about all of it. I mean, there are bits of, like, video that she has of her, like, crying out in prayer in front of hundreds of people, like, screaming for revival and for Jesus to appear in the middle of Cincinnati. And yeah, wow. So I mean, she's just a typical, like, white charismatic Christian in a Rust Belt city.
Interesting. I wonder if they just miscounted the amount of tacos that were there.
I mean, if it was Taco Cabana, a lot of the time they like to stack them. And I know I've done this before, like getting tacos from Taco Cabana, and you're getting them all and you're like, oh, I think that they gave us half of what we actually ordered. And it's like, no, there's 2 layers of tacos. You gotta check underneath the first layer.
Maybe that's what happened. Yeah. Or maybe their DoorDasher realized that he forgot to give them their whole order and came back.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or maybe it's just completely a lie. Okay, we're gonna go back to the ones that I have to show, and this one I think you're gonna really like.
Great. Wow.
Rammstein from Wish. That was like the immediate thing that came to my mind, and I actually looked at the comments on this reel, and I saw that the band Possessed, which is actually the shirt that I'm wearing today, and we saw them not too long ago.
Yeah.
They commented the same thing. I think they said like Rammstein from Etsy or something. Yeah. I was like kind of fangirling over that.
Hey, well, if there's one thing that I know about this guy, is that his penis is huge.
I'm sure some of you recognize him, but this is John Cooper from the Christian rock band Skillet. And he also has a podcast called Cooper Stuff, where he like talks about Christianity and faith, but mostly rants about like trans people and like COVID-19 stuff. It's mostly just right-wing talking points.
He also wrote a book that's called Wimpy, Weak, and Woke.
Yeah.
Which is like, if you're not a big man that's strong, then you're a piece of shit. God says so.
I also like the title is so unimaginative.
Yeah.
Which is kind of on par for John Cooper, because I don't know about you, but like I used to watch or listen to some Skillet music back in the day when I was a teenager. Like I wasn't really super into them, but I listened to some of their top songs. And I recently re-listened to them as an adult, and I was like, this music is so bad.
Yeah.
Like from the lyrics to the actual music, like it's so not artistic in any type of way. It's like Nickelback, but Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of Christian culture is very much about conformity. You know, in order to make great art, a lot of the time you have to be somewhat transgressive. Believe it or not, but a lot of the art that we now consider to be classical was transgressive for one reason or another. But Christian art can't be transgressive. It is meant to toe the party line as best as possible. So when the music is very generic, when the lyrics are very generic, that's actually what they're going for, which is why it's not always. I mean, there's some good Christian art for sure, like absolutely, but this is not it.
Well, it's also kind of annoying because they tend to appropriate the music from people that are transgressive and are pushing the limits.
Yeah.
They take their music, but then they kind of dull it down and make it Christian appropriate, which honestly just makes it worse.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to show you this video from John Cooper promoting his new book. And I want you to tell me if it reminds you of anybody.
Oh, great.
You just don't care about justice. How many times have you heard that over the last 3 years? Oh yeah? You're not supportive of BLM marches that result in cities being destroyed? You're not supportive of drag queens reading to children at school? You want to, quote, ban books from school libraries that depict illustrations of graphic sex acts, namely sex acts related to LGBTQ people? You just don't care about justice. By the way, that same accusation is made often within certain sects of the evangelical world. You don't believe in systemic racism? You're against critical race theory? You won't denounce your privilege? You won't get the
We
jab?
don't have to watch all of it. But like obviously everything he's saying is like total bullshit.
Yeah.
But his cadence reminds me a lot of Mike Lindell. Like he's just kind of like screaming into the microphone and saying like, I don't know.
You're right.
Doesn't it
Holy
sound like
shit.
Mike Lindell?
Yeah, there's like this like you have to be very emphatic, and you're kind of yelling into the microphone and you're not breathing.
Yeah, you're not taking any breaks. You're just like ranting or like asking rhetorical questions.
Yeah.
But like in this screaming over the top kind of way. And it's like, dude, you have a microphone right there. Like you don't need to be screaming.
It's kind of something that like younger boomers and even some older Gen X tend to respond to for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but yeah, I have noticed that.
Mike Lindell, Mark Driscoll does the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, John Cooper, he's a musician, he's a singer. He should know that you don't, for the mic to pick you up, you don't need to be literally screaming. So I wonder if it's on purpose because that's what appeals to that generation that also believes all the things that he's saying.
Yeah. The peace sign?
Yeah. It gets worse. Minions?
Minions? Okay. I mean, does she genuinely care about all that stuff, or are they just fun-looking stickers?
I don't know.
Eyeballs?
Rip out your eyeballs. God hates them.
I mean, the Bible does talk about
That's
plucking
true,
out your
yeah.
eye.
But that's for a reason, not just because they exist.
Oh, the devil horns. Alien
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob.
Another eye. So it's like, okay, the you know, pot leaf, okay, I guess I can sort of understand that. Although, in my opinion, Jesus would have totally smoked weed. But also, like, Minions and SpongeBob?
Yeah.
What does God have against that?
Yeah, that's really strange. There's so many things. I mean, I saw like Mario and like aliens, Harley Davidson, a heart. There's so many
Yeah, like,
things
what
on
is-
there. Is all that actually, is she genuinely pledging allegiance to SpongeBob, or is it's just like a colorful sticker? She likes colorful stickers.
And I don't know if she's like super into all of these things, but obviously it's like a reflection of her personality and like stickers that she, liked. I wrote a little bit about this one too, if you don't mind me reading. It's just kind of easier. I think what's so sad about this is that this girl obviously spent a lot of time putting up all these stickers that reflect her personality and interests, but she's unfortunately been convinced that it's all dishonoring to God. In evangelical spaces, you're taught to replace your personality with this cookie-cutter version that's been pre-approved by the church. You're not allowed to define your identity for yourself, but instead the religion defines it for you. I feel like this reel is a great metaphor for that, as we see her literally tearing down everything that reflects her interest and personality, leaving just a blank wall.
That makes it really difficult to watch now that you put it that way.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. And something that you and I have commented on a lot, just of different videos that we've reacted to, but it seems like a lot of Christian influencers and Christian YouTubers, they have this certain aesthetic, or like their backdrops always look exactly the same.
Always white, beige, and green. That's all you can do.
It's always usually very white, kind of very sparse. There's nothing, there's no trinkets. Like they don't have like, a plushie in the background. Like nothing that could reflect who they are.
Yeah.
It's like always very blank.
Yeah.
And I think that's partly due to just one, on YouTube, like white blank spaces usually look more appealing to the viewer, but also I think that's because of the religion that they're in, that like teaches you to basically destroy your identity.
Yeah, and conform.
And conform,
I mean, it's easy. I think that there's also kind of just like there's a color code. White is purity. I mean, in Christianity, you talk about the, like we wore those little bracelets that had like a black bead, a red bead, and a white bead.
Yeah.
And it would be like the black bead was your heart before Jesus. And then the red represents the blood that washed it white as snow. And then the white is now your heart and your life post Jesus.
Yeah.
And so I really think that they put on a lot of white because they're trying to be like, I'm pure and holy and clean.
I agree.
A boy hiding his political and religious views on a first date versus a man immediately showing his right-wing ideology, pro-life stance, and testimony. Okay, I get the, maybe from the Christian perspective, I get like the pro-life thing, the testimony, but right-wing ideology is like that important?
Why are you talking about, talking politics on a first date sounds so boring to me.
I mean, it just also like the expression that a Christian, like Christianity and goodness is expressed through right-wing ideology, so put. That just seems like you care more about right-wing ideology than anything else, or you think that like being right-wing equals being Christian, which historically that's not the case at all.
And evangelicalism has been replaced by right-wing ideology. They're kind of one and the same.
Yeah, evangelicalism is a political identity just as much, or maybe even more so than...
I would say even more so at this point.
Yeah. Also, bring back masculinity is what she's saying.
Oh yeah, that's the description. Bring back masculinity.
Because there's no one out here who is in any way masculine at all anymore, and the libs are forcing people to estrogenate. No, I joke and I try to make up a stupid conspiracy theory, but that's actually something that people believe. So
for real.
This next one also made me pretty sad, but it's also something that's really close to what we usually talk about on your channel, like dating and relationships as a Christian versus non-Christian.
Okay.
We never had a honeymoon phase. Satan started attacking us the moment we said I do. There were days that the only thing holding us together was the covenant we made, not feeling in love. But we vowed that divorce was never an option. We chose to fight. Marriage is meant to make you holy, not happy. And a whole lot of prayers brought us out of a whole lot of dark places. So if you're fighting for your marriage, keep fighting. I mean, it's like I don't want to say... A lot of the comments are pretty harsh. And they kind of remind me of a lot of the things that people say about Paul and Morgan when they watch Paul and Morgan videos. Like, a lot of the comments are about, like, oh, obviously he's, like, physically abusive, which don't jump to that conclusion.
Yeah, it could be a lot of different things.
Because that does happen. It's not like something to joke about. Mm-hmm. And if you point it out when it is happening, you're going to make it worse for the victim.
Right.
You got to be covert about that if you're trying to help. Mm-hmm. But I mean, yeah, I think we do fundamentally agree, and this is something that you and I have thought since we were Christian, and I think it's stayed with us since then, that love is often an action. Mm-hmm. It's a behavior. It's not like this warm, fuzzy feeling. Yeah. You know, so we have a strong commitment to each other that has helped us out anytime we've had a difficult time. But the difference is, for us, Satan wasn't attacking us as soon as we got married, you know. I mean, honestly, when we got married, things kind of felt the same, and that was like a good thing. Like, we're obviously ready for this. And the fact that for them it got hard immediately, and they started having, it just makes me worried for them.
I mean, I'm glad that they're now in a good place, it seems like. But I do wonder, just them being very conservative Christians, I'm assuming, that maybe they had a difficult time after they got married because they were under this impression by the people that were around them in their church kind of gave them this idea that, like, as soon as you get married, like, everything's great and, like, this is God's design for humanity, so you're not going to have any issues. And they weren't really prepared for it. Yeah. And, like, maybe that's where the difficulty came in.
Or they were just fundamentally incompatible. You know, they just were not going to be a good partnership from the beginning, but for whatever reason, they weren't able to see that until they were already committed for life.
Yeah, that could be too.
All right, now that I've depressed you, go back to yours.
Yeah, mine are kind of less depressing. Dating as a Christian be like, I only want sex. Sorry, I'm gay. I don't like Jesus freaks. I'm actually a chick.
Maybe people don't like Jesus freaks because you're being openly homophobic and transphobic and acting like you're oppressed because you're a bigot.
Yeah. Like, this takes Christian persecution complex to an entirely different level.
Oh, God.
And I think, I'm like, okay, I could be wrong, but I'm sorry. I don't think you've really interacted with a lot of gay or trans people in your life, or at least knowingly interacted with them. So, like, to be like, oh, I can't find a partner because everybody's gay or trans these days. It's like,
statistically, that's a lie. That's not true.
Statistically, that's a lie, and probably in the circles that she runs in, that's very uncommon.
Yeah, seriously.
So it's like, stop acting like you're so oppressed.
See, now the only thing that I see here that, like, I could understand is she's, like, saying that people that want to date only want sex. That's a more common thing.
Yeah, that's like, more common, even in the church.
Yeah, that totally happens. So I understand if she's, like, complaining about that.
Yeah.
The rest of it, that's kind of on her.
Yeah, it's the only valid point.
Oh, God. That's one of these. I always, like, okay, every time this happens, I'm like, wow, what a freak accident. And now it's just like a normal thing that happens every week.
Spirit Airlines needed to hear the truth.
No, they didn't.
Announcement to everybody. Some of you on this plane call yourselves believers. But are you a follower or a cheerleader? The Bible says if you are lukewarm, God will spit you out of his mouth. So are you going to church on Sunday, but at the club on Saturday? Are you drinking, smoking weed, having sex before marriage? Turn from your sins and turn to Jesus, because Jesus Christ died on the cross for your sins, and he rose again in 3 days, and he's alive. He's a one true God. Turn from your sins. Jesus loves you. God bless you.
I love that at the end.
Oh, hi. I love that guy.
I just want to know if this, message from the Holy Spirit was included in the price of the ticket, or if, like, this was an
extra,
Spirit extra, because it's clearly she's on Spirit.
I'm also noticing here, I landed in Dallas, Texas, and felt an urgency to share this. No one in Dallas, Texas has gone, one day without hearing the gospel message somewhere, or seeing it up on a billboard about how you're a murderer because you're not a Christian or something like that.
Yeah, most people in Dallas, Texas are Christians.
Yeah. I mean,
Hi.
I think she's genuinely got to, believe that most people who say they're Christian aren't really Christian to do this in this way. And also, like, she's got to be deluded enough to think that even the Christians on this flight would think that this is a good idea, that she's doing this, because I think most people would just be like, wow, she's so annoying. I will never talk to a Christian again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably. This is this lady's whole thing. Like, her Instagram is just her going into, like, stores. Like, she's gone into Barnes and Noble. She's gone into Target and just, like, starts preaching out of the blue.
So she just, like, disrupts other people's day as her mission.
Yep, that's her mission. Yeah.
Do people need to, like, arm themselves with silly string or something like that for this? 'Cause it's like, all right, if I was on a flight, like, with a literal captive audience and I started screaming about, like, why I don't think God is real, please pie me in the face.
Yeah.
Like, please shut me up, because at that point I've completely lost the plot and am not doing anyone any good.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I wrote down a little bit about her too, because I mean, that's her thing, is this kind of like street preachy stuff. But on her Instagram, it says she is a revivalist, recording artist, songwriter, actress, radical evangelist, TV producer, Ignite Your Light Kids CEO, and IAAPA Best Performer. So she's got a lot of credentials, apparently.
Yeah.
I looked up, like, because I wasn't sure what IAAPA is, and it's the Global Association for the Attractions Industry. And I couldn't really confirm if she's been awarded something from that organization, but she was a performer at the Holy Land Experience, which is a now defunct Christian amusement park.
Yeah.
So it's possible. But her Twitter, where she has a whopping 222 followers, says that she's an artist, actress, songwriter, host, performer at Holy Land, IAAPA nominee for Best Female Performer in the World.
Cool.
So, as far as I can tell, she's been a performer at Holy Land. She's an actress. She's an actress because she stars in her own TV show for kids, where she plays the main character, which is this princess that's transported to this magical land and is given a mission from God to save everybody in the magical land from, like, evil and sin.
So it's just her, but she's a princess.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's great.
And she's a singer because she writes her own Christian songs, and she's a street evangelist. I just feel like it's kind of weird. She, like, puts all these credentials, like she's an actress. I'm like, but does starring in your own TV show make you an actress?
I just wonder,
I don't know.
Is she also an end times enthusiast?
Probably.
Yeah. This seems like the type.
She says her mission is to bring the good news to people, but clearly her mission is really about elevating herself.
Yeah.
She seems to overinflate her own success.
It kind of reminds me of those influencer, like, wannabe influencer guys who, like, run around a mall with their friend following them with multiple cameras, and they just, like, shove people to see if someone will punch them. And then they have, like, a bodyguard run up and be like, don't punch my man, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they're purposely annoying people to get the reaction in public and turning into social media content.
Yeah, she has another reel where, like, the caption is, like, got kicked out of Barnes and Noble today. Like, she's proud of it.
What a warrior.
That's not a good thing.
Yeah. All right, let me show you my last one, which it is and it isn't a Christian reel.
Okay.
ISO, friends who prefer bonfires over bars, valid. Conspiracies over small talk, crazy. Immune systems over vaccines, dangerous. Nature over TV, okay, that one's fine. But
what?
You notice this, they're like, conspiracies are better than small talk. Immune systems are better than vaccines. So this is a pro-conspiracy, anti-vaxxer thing that I got. I have literally not once ever gotten this type of content on my Instagram. Mm-hmm. My Instagram is basically skating and disc golf. And now I'm getting this because I looked up Christian stuff one time. I've looked at Christian stuff for one day on Instagram, and I'm already getting this type of stuff. If you go to the page, you see that she literally says, like, she's a conspiracy realist, black sheep in this woke world, shining light on conspiracies and trying to defund the agenda. So this is a pro-conspiracy.
And she has a lot of followers too.
Yeah,
like almost 200,000.
I mean, and it's not to say that, like, you know, all Christianity or even all evangelical stuff is like batshit crazy conspiracy things. But it took probably a total of 35 to 40 minutes for me to go from evangelical and prophecy Instagram to literal vaccines and the lizard people are trying to kill us. That one made me upset.
yeah, because it kind of shows you that just conservative Christian content is kind of an open door. It leads to this conspiracy, like vaccines are harmful type of content. They're very intertwined.
Right. And as someone who is in the atheist genre, which was very, very well known to push people from just kind of like centrist politics to alt-right talking points back in like 2015, I'm very aware that it's my responsibility as a larger creator in that platform, like in that genre, to not radicalize people and to actively provide resources to keep people de-radicalized. And it, God, I wish there were more Christians there are Christians who would do it. Like the creator of VeggieTales, Phil Vischer.
Yeah.
He tries to de-radicalize evangelical Christians as someone who's still identified.
Profiles like the new evangelicals.
Yeah. That stuff is great, but I wish that was the predominant voice, and it's
Unfortunately,
just
it's not. No.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the time, the two go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a evangelical conservative Christian, there's a high likelihood that you believe in, like, alternative medicine and are an anti-vaxxer. I mean, those seem like they're hand in hand a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one more to show you.
These are a couple of Christian comebacks that I think will really help you defend the faith.
Prove to me God is real.
No.
Jesus was just a man.
One day you're gonna die and wither away like grass.
Being a Christian doesn't look like fun.
Going to hell doesn't look like fun either.
The devil isn't real. Who cares?
Uh-oh.
So you're just so holier than thou?
Yeah, that's kind of the point.
Christians are so annoying.
Jehovah Jireh, my provider, his grace is sufficient for me.
Okay.
I want to preface this by saying that I actually like this reel.
Yeah. The first one and the last one, totally valid and really funny, actually, genuinely funny.
Because I think that in the context that she provided, if you're just a Christian and someone comes up to you and says, prove to me God is real, you're under no obligation to do. I think just saying no. It's completely valid. You do not have to. You're under no obligation to like defend yourself or defend your faith in this context. If you're in a debate or something, like obviously that's different. But if you're just out and about living your life and someone's kind of like harassing you about your faith, I think these kind of like snarky comebacks are very valid.
Yeah, just like when someone's preaching on a plane, you can just be like, hey, shut up.
Yeah, because you're not consenting to be drawn into a conversation about religion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just being like, fuck you, no, I'm not going to talk to you is totally okay.
Yeah. Now, the other bits where it's like, hey, you're going to burn in hell for all eternity, and I think that's funny. That's pretty fucked up. I mean, I think.
It is a fucked up belief to have, thinking that people that don't believe the same thing that you do are going to burn in hell. I think that's fucked up. But if someone's like being annoying to you about your faith, I think being like, oh, you're going to burn in hell, I don't know. I feel like maybe that's kind of okay to say.
I would agree with that. It just depends on what does being annoying mean, because the Christians in our lives would define being annoying as a Christian is even voicing a viewpoint that is not Christian, even if they were asked.
Right. I mean, I think coming up to someone and just being like, Jesus was just a man, like I would consider that annoying in this context. If it's just out of the blue, someone's just saying that about your faith, I feel like that's considered annoying. But yeah, you're right. Like what Christians think is harassment a lot of the time isn't.
Yeah. I mean,
but in this context, I think it is.
Right. Yeah. If someone's like accosting you with this stuff, or if someone's street preaching atheism, then yeah, these are totally valid. My only little sticking point here is how often is someone aggressively preaching atheism or anti-Christianity versus the other way around? It does happen.
Yeah, it does
but what's
happen,
the proportion?
but it's not as often.
Yeah.
And I think it probably happens a lot more online. Like someone might just see someone's profile that says that they're a Christian. They might DM them and be like, well, prove to me God's real kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that probably happens, but
Yeah.
it happens the other way around a lot more often.
I think online bullying definitely sucks, but I am interested in how much it happens in real life.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen it happen in real life before, ever.
Yeah.
Well, what have we learned today other than cringe exists on the internet?
We learned that God can apparently turn 11 tacos into 22 tacos if you just pray hard enough.
That's
but
true.
He can't save the children in Gaza, I guess.
Oof.
That's too far for him.
Yikes. 20-year-old dudes screaming in a room full of middle-aged Christian women apparently predict earthquakes.
Yeah. You can protect yourself from demons by using oils.
You can go on dates with God, but you better make sure that you spend a pretty penny, because if you don't, are you really going to go to heaven?
Yeah. I learned that to be a really cool, tough dude, all you have to do is shoot smoke out of your arms and everybody will go crazy.
And scream at the camera! The devil will picture you as a great medieval warrior if you pray by yourself in the closet every day.
That's not what your family sees, though.
Right, exactly.
They just see you going into a closet.
Yeah.
But really, you're fighting demons with a sword.
It's way cooler than just the closet thing. I like how you look all goth, but then he literally has a sweater that says Mama's Boy.
And it's true. He is a mama's boy.
He looks like he belongs on a praise and worship show that airs in the middle of the night on a Christian network from the 90s.
Thank you all for watching, and a huge thank you to my patrons who help make these videos possible. Why do you always yawn when I start talking? If you like this video, please be sure to subscribe and ring the bell. If you'd like to follow me on social media, my Instagram is Taylor_the_antibot.
Every time.
And if you'd like to support me financially, a link to my Patreon will be down in the description, and we'll see you on the next one. Say bye.